Welcome to Super Movie Brothers. Let's start the show.
This is a podcast on the Podfix Network. You can check out more shows like it at podfixnetwork.com.
Welcome to Super Movie Brothers, episode 162. I'm your host, Super Movie Brother Dave.
I'm your host, Super Movie Brother Jay.
And me and Jay have had a little bit of a week. I don't know if Jay has, honestly, but I have.
You certainly have.
Yeah, so they had to come back to my house to jackhammer more of my floor up and then put more pipes down, causing more destruction in my house and keeping me and Lauren out of my house for 3 days while we stayed with my parents. And then, just as a nice little icing on top, we get a microburst, which is a weather term for intense fucking storm over top of us that knocked out over 18,000 people's power in our town. And then, so I had to spend the night at my parents in the dark, and I was just miserable. I just had like a miserable fucking week, just an absolute miserable fucking week. Not because of my parents. I should stress that it's not my parents that caused me.
No power is always awkward and uncomfortable, and right. It's just not fun.
Not to mention, the guys that were here working on the house and stuff, they had to put up these giant tarps, which blocks the air conditioner, so there was no air in the house. And then I caught them the other day. They were going on the other side of the tarps, turning on my air conditioner, soaking up the air as I was outside mowing the lawn, and I came back in to my house that's like 98 degrees inside. It's 105 outside, 98 degrees inside. And there's these dudes like taking turns standing in front of my air conditioner, like drying themselves off and getting nice and cool. And I was like, no, shut it off. Because the air's not going anywhere, and if I have to sweat, you damn well better make sure you fucking sweat, motherfucker. I better see you just dripping sweat while you're working on my house.
Yeah.
So I did. I actually made them shut the air conditioner off for a very good reason. If you run an air conditioner in a small space like that and it runs constantly, you can freeze the coil up and, destroy your air conditioner. So that's what my week has been. And as I'm on the precipice of another week at work, it's just looking to be just dandy. I can't wait to get through the rest of my week. Jay, you did anything special this week? Anything interesting?
I shot down to Ocean City, New Jersey to hang out with a couple friends and my cousin and stay over there.
So you did some jet skiing?
Yeah, it was going to be so hot, and I had some things around here going on, but I didn't want to really hang with them. And the fact that it was going to be at least 10 degrees warmer home than it is down the shore, I was like, I'll take my chances with the shore. And, I haven't seen him in about a month, and I'm good friends with my cousin and our friends there. And I went jet skiing, and then it was 3 hours on the jet ski, which was exhausting. I mean, my ankle got fucking blown up with greenhead fly bites that I haven't had before. I mean, I have had bites before, but I never had a reaction like this before.
Be careful. I went to the hospital when I was younger after I got bit. One bit me on the top of my foot, and my foot puffed up to like huge. Like it was
my ankle is still swollen up, and it hurts. It's like sore. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Well, they are dirty shit-eating flies, Jay.
Yes.
So
and I was kind of telling my dad, like, should I go to a doctor? Do I need antibiotics? He's like, no, it'll go away.
Is it sore? Like
it was. I mean, the soreness is going away. It's still
because what happened to me was like my bones were sore. Like it felt like it was that bad, and I could barely.
I don't think it's quite that bad.
I could barely move my toes. My toes puffed up so.
Well,
bad.
You know why? Because you got bit like practically on the bone. Like the top of your foot's like all bone. Mine was like kind of like the side meat of like your calf.
No, that's not it. That's
lower ankle.
Once infection starts setting in, it starts affecting your body in more ways than just the surface.
Right.
It's not like the fly flew up with fucking teeth the size of Jaws and just chomped into my foot, tore a hunk of flesh off, and just like flew away, giggling the whole time. And he's like, "Yeah, that's gonna swell up like a bitch." No, it's just how infection works. That's what I was asking. Anyway, fuck this. We got such a lot of shit to talk about. Really,
we do. We're just gonna get into it.
Comic-Con was over the weekend.
Lots of Comic-Con stuff.
I didn't get to watch any of the panels. I didn't get to like follow up on a lot of the news because again, my house was getting torn apart and it was just pandemonium here. But I was able to catch up on some of the stuff today that was going on. So me and Jay will be talking about all of that stuff throughout the episode. But before we get into all of that, Jay, what were you watching this week?
What are you watching?
What are we watching?
I think he's trying to watch some illegal channel. Always watching.
No, go past this part. In fact, never play this again.
Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. And it's a shame. I mean, I've been still catching up with the Americans, and I finished up Big Little Lies season 2, and that was a solid season, a solid follow-up from a series that was not supposed to have another season.
Right.
And I was impressed. I was really impressed. They did a really fine job. That's it, man. I'm just looking forward to catching up with some other stuff like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and
I just love this.
Some other movies. And
you talk about The Americans, which is a show that's 10 years old that anyone who wanted to watch it has watched it, and no one else fucking cares. No one else cares.
That's all I'm watching. That's the problem. There's nothing out.
So I was able to catch the new DC animated film, Batman Hush, obviously based on Jeff Loeb's seminal Batman comic from the early 2000s. The art in that was by Lee. It was like this big moment for like modern Batman. And that comic is, it's a pretty big deal in the comic book world. I passed it on to Rob, formerly of Fan Film Boys, who joins us for our movie cocktails. He really enjoyed it. So now as they've been doing with a lot of the Batman stuff, they've adapted it into an animated feature.
Right.
You have liked some of those. You liked Under the Red Hood. I don't think you would like this one so much. This one, it suffers. My big problem with it is the animation style. It's very, very dumbed down from what the comic book was. So much so that I almost feel no emotion from any of the characters, even though this is supposed to be a pretty emotional story for Batman, especially because he's going through this inner turmoil of whether to reveal himself to someone who he has been on again, off again with Catwoman. He wants to he's wondering whether he should reveal his identity and stuff. It was kind of a big moment in the comics, and you feel the emotion. Here, not so much. The voice acting's kind of pretty humdrum.
Is it the animated issue, or is it?
I think it's that
a mixture of direction or voice acting. Or?
No, it's. I mean, the voice acting's pretty humdrum and pretty crappy, and the animation just really doesn't lend itself to these type of lend itself to any type of emotional type of story. Like if you wanted to see Batman, in some pretty cool situations fighting Superman at one point, it's cool for that. If you're a fan of the Hush comic, though, I think it might fall a little short for you. What it does do, though, it really streamlines the Hush storyline, and I think it does. I won't spoil it. It does take it into a different direction than the Hush comic book does. And for people who are big comic book fans who don't mind a big surprise, maybe they'll get some enjoyment out of it.
Okay.
It's certainly a better adaptation than the other film I watched, and I reviewed that in less than 5 minutes. Batman Hush.
Right.
I would give that a B-.
Okay.
I'm going to review The Lion King even shorter. I don't even need to give you a spoiler warning. It is the same movie.
That's all I've been hearing.
But where it lacks is, again, where the animation for the original one was able to add so much emotion into these animated characters, and was able to anthropomorphize,
but yet also keep an authentic looking animated lion face.
Somewhat, yeah. But I mean, it basically anthropomorphized
for that time, for sure.
Anthropomorphized the lions and stuff, made them more relatable characters and stuff through facial expressions and stuff like that. Like I remember, when Mufasa in the original, falls off the cliff and into the wildebeests and stuff like that. I mean, do you remember the way Simba looked? Of course you do. It's ingrained in your brain. Then you watch it here and you see this realistic, not so realistic looking lion cub. I think the lion cubs look terrible. The rest of everything else looked great. The adult lions look great. I think Scar looked great. The hyenas look great. Like all this stuff, like it top notch CGI. It looked fucking fantastic. For some reason, the cubs just look like bumbling little balls of fur. Like they almost, it seemed like they had no bone structure at some times. But his face, like as Mufasa falls into the pit. Spoilers: Mufasa dies. Sorry. Like when he does that, no, and it's like,
right.
It just looks like a cub going, "What's going on?" Like,
Yeah.
And I will say this: like,
I think that's why the trailers never showed them talking.
right. So one thing that like really bothered me was you have a quote unquote live action movie. You have a longer runtime. Why not do more with the story, right? Why not give Scar more motivation than just I'm the shitty little brother and I'm going to be a shit this entire time. And that's it, like that's his motivation. So you would think
it's
that
a dated motivation
right.
too.
You
right?
think that they would like take the time to like improve it, right? Because he does like drop these little hints that like, that Mufasa was chosen over him. He also tells Sarabi at one point that like, she chose Mufasa over him and stuff like that. So go deeper. And you don't have to do a flashback, but like tell us, how he got his scar? He fought his brother and he lost. Like that's how he got his scar.
I like that.
And ever since then,
You'd be like warrior.
that's his motivation for hating Mufasa and wanting revenge, is that Mufasa beat the shit out of him and he took over to Pride, and young Scar, went off and stayed in that bony rocky place that he just hangs out in, and his brother just threw him the scraps and was just like, you get what you get, like
that is a good point, Dave.
make
That is
Mufasa
good
a
point.
little bit more of a dick and make Scar not more sympathetic, but give him more motivation to be the villain.
Yeah.
And that could have been something that you did to make this stand out apart from the animated film. Now, but they balked on that. They went almost shot for shot for a lot of stuff. They did change some things here and there, but not a lot. Some lines were changed, but in the end, it's the exact same story. One thing they did, I'm not going to say improve, but they did update and give a new take on was Timon and Pumba. I won't spoil it, but they were clearly what was meant to be the wink and the nod to the adults in the audience, going like, we know you're watching the same movie you watched before. And like, for some reason it worked. It was a little funny for me having Timon and Pumbaa there.
Do they act
do
they act like a gay couple, or they act like friends?
No, that
just,
would have been
play around.
That would have been a little bit too progressive, Jay. It wouldn't have been for all audiences if they were a gay couple. They clearly are. I mean, they are.
That's what I mean. Like
even when I was a kid watching that, I knew Timon and Pumbaa were like they were a thing.
Yeah. Okay.
So in the end, is it a fine movie? It's fine. It's fine. It's the same thing.
It's going to really hurt the box office.
Yeah.
Because the rewatchability is not going to be there.
I'm going to put in the animated one every time over this. It's fine. It's whatever. It's a C. Like,
ow!
It's a C.
That's harsher than I expected.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, but that's the thing. Like, if they tried harder and failed,
yeah,
I could have done more. I could go with it. I could be like, you know what? They tried something different.
Right.
They swung and they missed.
And they did that with the Jungle Book, right? The Jungle Book wasn't a shot-for-shot remake.
No, and it was fantastic.
And Favreau did a great job with that.
But that's the thing. So, like, even the animals in that movie were able to emote better than the animals.
Do you blame Favreau for this? Do you think that's on him, or is it the script?
So here's what I was wondering. It's been 2 years since this was announced, right? So he had time. I don't know whether this needed like another run through the animation. I don't know if this I don't know whether Disney just wanted this out now. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. I don't know who to blame. I don't want to sit there and point fingers.
Tricky. I know. Me neither.
But there should have been some updating done to it, some new iteration that's done to it, something to make it stand out from the original, and they just failed at doing that. They just did, they did what they did with Aladdin, and that's it. There's And I know a lot of
This
people.
is pretty interesting, though. Aladdin and now The Lion King.
Yeah.
2 hiccups.
Now, Mulan's looking to be very, very different, where there's not going to be any singing, and
Right.
there's not going to be a love interest, and she's going to instead of training to be a warrior, she's going to already have been training secretly as a warrior. Like they're making they're making changes to it, but I think that's to update the character for both women and for a minority audience and stuff like that.
And people love the trailer. They seem to be confident. They showed a teaser a year from the release date. So
I don't know, man.
But you never know at Disney.
But then when you think about Mulan, like when I talk about Disney animated features, Lauren loved Mulan. It was one of her favorites. But for me, Mulan came later on when I wasn't so into the animated stuff. So I don't know like what the zeitgeist is on Mulan. Like, do our people are like, fuck yes, Mulan. And it's like, I can't wait to see Eddie Murphy come back as the dragon. No, they're not doing the dragon. Damn it. Well, at least she's going to have that cool little cricket. No, they're not doing the cricket. They're not doing that. Think of House of Flying Daggers meets Disney. Like that's what they're doing.
Which could be awesome.
Yeah, they're doing a kung fu type movie. But anyway, so Batman Hush, the better.
Hey, we warned them. 5-minute-ish.
Yeah, the better remake than The Lion King. The Lion King's just whatever. The songs also were a thing that bothered me because The Lion King, the original songs lend themselves in such a way that it's toe tapping, it's Broadway, it's very
catchy.
This was a little bit more modern music, it was the same tune with modern elements mixed in and stuff, and everything seemed to be moving at like a little bit of like a slower tempo. So it was missing that flash. It was missing that pizzazz. It didn't jazz hands at the end. Is what I'm saying, Jay.
Okay.
So
who did Circle of Life?
Who cares? Okay. Like, why are you asking? Who cares?
Good point. And that's actually a very, very good point, Dave, because I like reading up on a lot of things.
Who cares?
I haven't heard anything about the music.
Well, good point, Dave. Who cares? Moving on. Next thing.
Next. But no, seriously, they have like an insane cast and musical background supporting this cast, and
cast
it's very ho-hum. Nobody's raving about the music in this movie at all either.
So you know what was great about the original Lion King? Why are we still talking about this? I ended this review.
All right, I'm sorry.
But you know what was great about the original Lion King was voice act, something different. Like Donald Glover didn't bring it for me. Like Beyonce certainly did that. Zero for me, nothing.
Right.
Chiwetel Ejiofor was fine. I know some people were like, why is he Scar? I've heard Scar, like it doesn't sound right to me. It sounded fine. He was a good villain. It worked for me. He did the voice right. Mufasa, however, James Earl Jones, bringing him back, just like when I reviewed Rogue One. And I said, like, man, Darth Vader he sounded old, right? Like he sounded like Darth Vader more out of breath than he normally is.
Okay.
Like it sounded weaker. Like and granted, James Earl Jones, I think he's in his 90s. So yeah, he probably does have a weaker voice.
Yeah.
It's same thing here when he's doing Mufasa again, where like there was this thing that like happens in the movie when you're a kid and he's talking to Simba after he goes to the elephant graveyard and Mufasa does that laugh and it's like this big like laugh and like he does it here and it's like everything the light touches. Like he just said,
and then he pants a couple times like
let me catch my breath, John.
It's all ours. We are responsible.
Everything the light touches.
We are responsible.
I did put up a meme on on Twitter that caught me some flack. I put I superimposed Trump's face over Mufasa's, and we'll put a wall around everything the light touches, and people are like, "No, you can't besmirch Lion King like that." And I said, "Yeah, but I used the new Lion King. I didn't use the old one."
True.
All right, so Jay, let's get into our beer reviews so we can talk about all the news that came out of Comic-Con.
Right.
Welcome back to the beer segment. Me and Jay got 2 beers that we're going to be reviewing for you, but before we do that, got to drop a line to our sponsor, Blowfish.
Blowfish, I love you.
Blowfish is the only FDA-approved hangover cure. What it is, 2 tablets, you drop in 8 to 12 ounces of water, let it dissolve, drink it down, your hangover starts to feel better, all that good stuff. While they were here doing work in the house and I was here sweating my balls off, I was drinking quite a few beers because I don't know if you know this, Jay, but jackhammers are loud. And not only are they loud, even when you have noise-canceling headphones on and you're playing video games and you're slugging down beers, you can still feel the jackhammer in your anus, in like on your feet on the floor.
Your ass is all puckered up and like, ugh.
In your fucking teeth. Like you feel the jackhammers. And I was here for 8 hours while they were doing it, and it was just
Really?
over. And then they're like, "We're gonna break for lunch," and I was like, "Thank you." So I needed some Blowfish.
I bet you did.
So
holy shit.
I reached for that Blowfish and I got myself back up and upright again to go have dinner with my parents and be a normal functioning human being
Before the power went off.
Before the power went off. So if you would like to try yourself some Blowfish, head over to 4hangovers.com, use the promo code SMBFish, get your 15% off of the Miracle Hangover Cure. Super Movie Brothers is also brought to you by the Podcoin app. You can download the Podcoin app on iOS or Android, and you can use that as your main source for podcast streaming. What it is it's an app that allows you to earn points. You can exchange for every minute of podcast that you listen to. You can then exchange those points for gifts like gift cards, or you could be a good, kind-hearted soul and you can donate those points to charity, and they will convert all of your points into charitable donations for you. So why don't you start earning a little bit for all that hardcore podcast listening you do by heading over and downloading Podcoin on the iOS or Android app. All right, Jay, you got a beer that you're going to be reviewing for people. Why don't you tell everyone about that beer and how it tastes and, you know, all the things about it, the IBUs and the percentage of alcohol by volume, all that good stuff.
I certainly will. I have myself Victory No Brainer. It is an IPA, 6.8 alcohol by volume, and it is this interesting marriage to me of like a Pils and an IPA somehow.
Okay.
It has like a whiff of a Pils.
So kind of
and
like...
then the taste palette is very, not quite piney, but it packs a punch. It's very dry up front, and it does have those kind of drier citrusy notes, like a tangerine kind of thing and all that stuff.
So a little bit hoppy,
of peeled flavor.
So more hoppy than like a IPL, like a pale lager.
Yes.
Something. Okay.
Yeah, and a little bit more balanced, but it has still, oddly enough, a pretty dry finish as well. It's a good little interesting beer. I feel like I haven't had something like this in quite a while. It's not normally something that I would normally like, I think, but for some odd reason, this one is hitting me the right way. So I'm going to give this a pretty decent score, 3.5 out of 5. I think it's an interesting marriage of two different kind of beers.
And Victory, of course, is out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Indeed.
And so is Evil Genius Beer Company, which is the brewer who has made this beer that I'm drinking. It's called The Picks or It Didn't Happen. It's an American IPA, dry hopped entirely with mosaic hops. It's 7% alcohol by volume, 35 IBUs, and what all this does is it equals a pretty bitter taste. Mosaic hops are known for being pretty bitter, and this is really bitter. It does not have that big floral hop flavor that yours has. It is far more rich, and I would say darker tones and very, it's tough to put my finger on it because all I taste is mosaic hops.
There's not much, there's no real good flavor to it.
All I taste is mosaic hops.
Straightforward.
And my big problem with it is I know that a lot of the beers we drink are unfiltered. However, I can taste the dirt in this beer. I'm drinking it and my mouth is like, I can literally feel it.
That bottle was like the last bottle of the keg.
Yeah. So like I shined a light in there and
the scraps of the bottom is in that bottle.
All the little bits are floating in there. And that's not normally a problem.
No, there's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot in there.
And they're big. like usually getting like a little bit of stuff in your beer, it's not a problem. Like a lot of unfiltered beer had that stuff.
I usually prefer unfiltered beers.
This looks like the dust that was kicked up by the guys who were jackhammering my Florida. Right. Luckily, they didn't jackhammer my wife because,
Ooh.
because I'll take some dust leavings, but I don't want the leftovers.
No
of
wonder
that
you were here
jackhammer.
for 8 hours straight.
Yeah, exactly.
Just keeping an eye on them.
So anyway, what this equals is that it's just a pretty shitty beer. I'm not crazy about it. It's not like atrocious.
I agree. I took a sip. It's not good at all.
I'm not spitting
It's
it
really
out.
not.
It's gonna get like a 2 out of 5.
Yeah, you pound it down quick as possible, and you move on to your better beer.
Yeah, absolutely. Because and my better beer is the Southern Tier Lakeshore Fog. It's a hazy, juicy IPA, and it's delicious.
It is delicious.
I love this beer.
I've had those before.
So, if you want to check out Evil Genius, don't drink the picks, or it didn't happen, at least in my opinion. But always check out Victory. I mean, I love supporting Philadelphia beers. So.
Yeah, Evil Genius, they're local. Victory, of course, they're local. I mean, I try to support them. I did not love, for example, I used to like Summer Love. I never reviewed it on the show before. And they redesigned the can, or the whole logo in general, and I hate it.
And now you're like,
I hated it. I refused to fucking get behind that.
That's so
that
weird.
beer because of the fucking label change.
It tastes the same, Jay.
I don't care.
It's the same beer. Look, they changed Dead Rise for me this year. You didn't hear me crying about it, all right? They put it in cans, not in bottles, but I didn't cry about it, did I? I happily drank 24 of them in a very short amount of time.
It's just a can.
It's just a
You
can.
can pour it in a glass.
Still got the Ralph Steadman art, so that's what matters.
That's what matters. That's true.
All right, Jay, let's get into all the stuff that was going on Comic-Con this weekend. We will start with the trailers.
Oh boy, lots of trailers.
Living for God, and you just let Poetics explain.
Poetics, bring the drums in.
Cut the beat and let the music play. No trailer park, shout out to Dave and Jay. I don't serve, but there's a newer wave. We've been on since trust God save the right style. I don't wanna flow until I know that the bass drop.
All right, so this is Trailer Park, but it's not going to be Trailer Park like we normally do it, where like we play the trailer, me and Jay kind of like break down stuff. There's far too much shit for us to fit all that into one episode. So Jay's the keeper of our trailers, so he's just kind of go over each of the trailers that were dropped during Comic-Con that we want to comment on, and then we'll go through them as they come.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, let's just start off with It Chapter 2.
Yeah, so
Second trailer.
so it's very different trailer than the first, definitely more horror oriented.
Right. And a little bit also just like a tease for some people to see which actor is playing the, which role for each person, the younger version into the older version, that kind of thing. And it does play up a little bit more tropes with the whole horror element. And it was, I didn't need it. It was fine.
No, see, I really liked it because
it was a good trailer for the most part, but I didn't need it. It didn't give me anything more.
I liked seeing, this was very much like the James McAvoy trailer. Like, this is getting to see him
a little bit more,
acting a little bit more, where, the first one was just kind of like flashes and stuff like that. This is really kind of getting into like the meat of the story. Yes, we know the group we know the losers are getting back together. We know they are going to be taking down it once and for all. But, it's showing us a whole lot more of the horror elements that are going to be in there. And one of the things that I really noticed, like, we know we got the trailer with Bev and the old lady, and she's looking at the picture, and it looks like Pennywise the clown before he was the interdimensional demon known as It, I guess. And then at the end of this trailer, we see Bill Skarsgård as kind of like a clown, but he's in the same period outfit that he was in that picture that Bev was looking at. And then he starts like turning into It. And at first I was like, oh, are they going to give us like a little bit of like an origin story for like the clown? And then I realized that's probably at the moment that Bev is looking at that picture and that person turns into it, just like they did with the projector in the first one.
Yes.
So it's not. I've heard a few people be like, "Yeah, they're going to go back and they're going to show."
That projector scene was pretty fucking crazy.
That was pretty crazy, right?
Yeah.
And I think they're going to be playing with more elements like that. I don't 100% think we're going to go get like an origin story for the.
No, I wouldn't want it.
But if they did, I mean,
exactly.
It's whatever. But I don't think. I think that was more of one of them looking at that picture and he's manipulating the picture or their mind, whichever it is. We also see a lot of the like its inner lair. We see like that moment where they're all like holding hands and there's like these weird, almost look like Geiger-esque like alien stuff like all around them. And when I mean alien, I don't mean like creatures from outer space. Well, I kind of do. I mean alien like the movie Alien and H.R. Giger's design. Like they're in this like cavern, and there's all this stuff around them. So like that was some of the stuff I was picking up. Really, I'm just liking what they're putting down now. I'm liking the way it looks.
Exactly. They understand the property and they're doing it.
I'm loving Bill Hader for some reason. Just seeing him, he didn't speak at all in this, and I saw him and I go, "Yep, he works as Richie.
He does.
He works." And then I can't remember the little fat boy's name. The guy they got to play him is far too young to be playing with the rest of these actors. He looks way too young.
Okay.
He looks like he's.
I haven't quite picked up on it yet, but I'm sure
he looks like he's 22.
It'll stand out.
Yeah,
okay.
he looks like he's 22. The rest of them look like they're 35. So for me, I was like, whatever. I'll let that slide.
Let it slide.
I'll let it slide. All right, Jay. What other trailers dropped?
Top Gun Maverick.
Highway through the danger zone.
Call Kenny Loggins because you're in the danger zone.
They missed the mark by not putting that song in the fucking trailer.
Listen,
fuck them for not doing it.
This is a teaser trailer.
That's shit.
A year off from when it comes out, pretty
shit.
much.
This movie looks like shit. I never needed it. Tom Cruise looks like shit.
I disagree.
I know you do. You love this shit.
I ate it up, man. I ate it up.
I'm sitting there and you should be a 2-star admiral by now. What are you? And I would be like, shut up, Ed Harris. You're the only person in this movie who looks worse than I look. If I was Tom Cruise, I would look at him and I would tell him.
He's like, fuck, man. I'm still a captain. I'm flying jets. I'm fucking bitches. Like, what's up?
I took a shit this morning that was mostly like liquid that looks better than Ed Harris does at his age.
I hear you, man.
Ed Harris is starting to wear that age. He looks rough. And Tom Cruise, I mean, not looking like a spring chicken himself. He's not Ethan Hunt here, right? So it's like I'm not
53, man.
I'm not buying it, dude. I'm just not buying this dude. Like
look, it's a teaser. You have him saying 6 words in the whole teaser, probably something like that.
But Jay, he's doing the same shit he did when he was a young.
This is not a story trailer. We don't know what happened. We don't know what's going on.
But he's a young kid full of
But they do all the cool shots. They show you we're gonna have a fucking beach volleyball scene. We're gonna have a sing along in a bar. It's gonna be fucking awesome. It's gonna be nostalgic. It's gonna be fresh. They're using new technology on these cameras.
Wait, I'm sorry. You're saying that the thing where they're doing all the things they did before is going to be fresh.
No. Well,
get excited.
A fresh version of it.
Get excited because we're doing the same shit we did last time.
But it is going to be playing up on the drone stuff technology and in the old school way.
That's
of
not shown in this
firefighters.
teaser. None of that stuff's shown in this teaser.
I know, but I know that's what it is.
Who cares?
And then
we're talking about this teaser. We're not talking about the.
All right. I'm just saying. And I think the fighter pilot technology with the way they're shooting it is going to be phenomenal. It's new technology that's never been seen before.
You guys should see Jay's face. Cool. He's like, it's going to be phenomenal. He's really like looking like
I look like Donald Trump right now. Probably.
It's going to be phenomenal.
It's going to be amazing.
Jay, my point is they waited over 25 years to tell us this story, and the story is that Maverick's in the same position he was when we left him last. He's done nothing new for himself.
I'm wondering if Miles Teller has more of a role in this.
Who cares?
Or if he is just a supporting role.
Where's the danger zone?
Yeah.
If you're just gonna be doing the original movie beat for beat again, then do that.
They're not. I think they're just winking to the old original.
Then do
That's
that.
all.
But if you're gonna wink to the original, then give me the
wait for the next trailer.
I don't care. I am not. My butt's not in seat.
I
day
was
one.
definitely cool with it. I will definitely be there day one. Okay, so next, Henry Cavill's The Witcher.
Yeah, he looks fucking dope. Like right, like
he's you can't fucking hide the sexy, man.
So it's a video game property.
This is something that's beyond me. I don't know much about this at all. I am okay with what I see. I'm not 100% sold if I want to watch this or not. I really do struggle with fantasy stuff, and I know most of our listeners probably are not surprised by hearing that. But
all right. So this is what's weird. So it's a video. So The Witcher is a video game, but it's not a video game first. It is a series of fantasy novels that are written in Poland. Like they're Polish fantasy novels that have since been translated to other languages. But the video games take place in that Witcher universe, and you follow Geralt of Rivia, and he is known as a beast hunter. So it's kind of like in this fantasy world. The games are fantastic. I never played the first game because I believe that was only available on PC, and I probably didn't have a PC good enough, but I did play The Witcher 2 and I did play Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, and they were fantastic. And Henry Cavill looks fantastic in the role. That was one of the things I was worried about. You're going to take this guy with like dark hair. Last time I saw him, he had biceps that needed to be reloaded like shotguns. Like in Mission Impossible, he had the mustache and stuff. Now I'm seeing him here. He's got this long white hair, and like in Thor 1, in the original Thor movie, you worry that like when you're taking someone, you're putting a wig on them and stuff like that, that it's not going to look natural to them. But for some, they did a great job with makeup and everything.
I think a bit of the cinematography too, like the on the cameras. They clearly
wanted to go. They clearly wanted to go like ultra HD with it, looking. But they clearly wanted to make it very, very drab, almost like Game of Thrones. I think they literally looked at this and went like, cinematically, we want this to look like Game of Thrones because this is going to be Netflix
in scope.
Yeah, and scope. It's got a huge budget, big time. Netflix. If this doesn't break download numbers for Netflix, it's killing them budget wise.
And I'm kind of worried about that.
Yeah.
I really am. I'm not 100% sold on people actually wanting to watch this.
So what Netflix doesn't like is Netflix doesn't like diminishing returns. We've seen that with the Marvel stuff. We've seen the Marvel stuff, it was at such a high point.
No patience for it.
Right. And the second that they got to like the second season and the numbers started dipping, but the numbers dipped down to half almost, like for some of those shows. Over half people tuned out. If there is a significant dip between this first season and the second season of Witcher, if they get a second season, believe me, people are hungry for something decent on Netflix. So, and I think this trailer is going to sell people on it. But I think if there's any dips in it, they'll be quick to drop it because it's such a high budget with such low returns.
Right.
And for Netflix, there's not a whole lot they have to measure how well they're doing because they can't sell ads. They're obviously not selling tickets to anything. And the only thing they look at is subscriptions. And since so many people have Netflix, they're actually looking at Netflix retention rates.
Yeah, the data is very interesting. They know exactly when people tune in, tune out, how often you watch an episode or a movie or something like that.
But I think this trailer looks, I think it looks awesome. It's not telling you a whole lot about the Witcher story and stuff like that, but it is giving you a feel for this world. It's showing you big battles. It's showing you this cool protagonist. It's showing you that it exists in like this fantasy world. There's one scene where Henry Cavill has his shirt off and he's just kind of like sitting there. And I was like, God, he looks like He-Man. Like he just looks like.
Yeah, I got a little chub on that one, but
he's jacked up. Like, I mean, he looks like Superman again. Like he's just beefcake.
He's just a sexy mofo.
He's just a fucking beefcake. But I'm certainly interested in it. Like I said, fan of the games. Never read the novels, but
I will certainly give it a shot. You can definitely bank on that. I'm just worried about me.
Jay, the games are oozing with sex, so at least you may get that in the Netflix series.
Yes. Okay, Dave. We will quickly burn through this. Cats just came out with a fucking trailer.
Didn't even watch the trailer. Don't care.
Oh my God, Dave. This was the most unforgiving trash of a trailer with highbrow expectations I have ever seen. It is so cringe-inducing terrible. I can't get over it. I cannot believe this fucking movie is being made.
I'm not a Broadway guy. I've never seen Cats. I've never heard one song from Cats. I don't care.
It's appalling.
Let's
please move on because I don't really want to mention it any more than that.
The only Cats I know are the ones that were in an American Tale, Fievel. Remember that? There are no cats in America. Just make that into a musical, into a live action film. I would totally watch an American Tale live action film. Moving on. Got
Terminator: Dark Fate.
Yeah, I don't care about this either. Why are we talking about this again? It's they didn't even have the balls to give us a trailer.
Featurette trying to almost punch up the first trailer.
So here's what I
get people hyped up on it because you know why? Because they're telling you to get excited for it. That's what I saw. I saw the exact same footage from the first trailer, and James Cameron, the director, the actors, saying it's so much more grittier.
I don't know.
Oh, it's so cool. Oh, it's gonna be amazing.
I saw Tim Miller's face.
I don't know about that.
Tim Miller's face. did not look like he was excited at all, even though he's telling me that he's excited. Tim Miller didn't look excited. And this ruined, not ruined, but it does spoil something for me. There's a lot of speculation about whether Arnold actually is a Terminator in this movie or not, or whether he is like the proto Terminator. He's the soldier the Terminator bioskins are all based on, just older and stuff. Nope. Yeah, he's 100% a Terminator. This showed him with half of his skull, like half of his skin on his head blown off and big shiny metal underneath. There's even a scene where he's missing a hand and you could see the metal underneath. He's a Terminator. So explain that one. I'm waiting for it because I watched him go into the lava and give the thumbs up. Yeah. So I'm wondering how they're gonna retcon that, even if they. Obviously, he's just another one that traveled back in time, and he's stayed with Sarah Connor, which is funny because they did the same thing in Genesis, and people didn't like that so much. So we're going to double down on the same idea, I suppose.
I guess I have no idea what's going to happen with that. But
this did nothing.
It does
for
not
me.
excite me whatsoever. No. Again.
Yeah, I know.
So it's unfortunate. This fucking series, dude.
They didn't even have the balls to do another trailer and people were mixed on the first trailer. So I thought that they would want to come into Comic-Con hard with a brand new cut trailer, that's something that would give fans like what they were looking for, something that was opposite of what they gave us before with this very generic action that they were showing us,
Oh yeah.
And very bad CGI. I thought they were going to come back and try to really win people back, and they just
I think it's safe to say that you can kind of blame Tim Miller on this property. I
don't think you can say that. I think you could. I think you can blame the studio for continuing to pump these out.
Well, that too, of course, and James Cameron coming on board to try to.
As a producer, though, he lends his producer credit to anything that he thinks has a chance of putting another couple mil in his pocket so that he can get Avatar done.
Yeah, but he had the audacity to kind of go out there and try to right the wrongs and say all those other Terminators.
Then direct it.
I didn't have anything to do with it.
Right.
And this follows up T2.
Yeah. Then
so he put himself into the driver's seat almost as a responsible party for this movie.
Right. But when I fuck something up, I don't delegate it out to somebody else.
And it looks generic as fuck.
I do it myself. So if he wants to do this movie himself, he should direct it himself. So when I get mad at how bad it is, I know exactly who to point the finger at. I can go, it's you, Cameron. It's you.
Fuck Jim Cameron. I swear to God, like he's just...
Jim Cameron, like your fucking buddies on the golf course. Fuck Jim Cameron.
Seriously though, he's ruining his legacy.
Jim Cameron's the type of guy that would hit it into the rough and then kick it with his foot afterwards.
He is that guy. God damn.
Tells his caddy, that was a mulligan. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
don't
and
even mark that down.
Tip him only $10.
That's right.
For a whole round.
No, now we're just parodying Caddyshack.
I know.
Which I did watch this week. So
sorry, Jimbo. I'll play a golf round with you anytime.
Whoa. Nice hat, James Cameron. Anyone buys a hat like that comes with a free bowl of soup. Ooh, looks good on you, though. All right, Jay, next trailer.
A beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Yeah, this looks sad.
In the neighborhood.
This looks it's not sad. I think it's really taking where Won't You Be My Neighbor?
It does.
The documentary really left off with that feeling of Mr. Rogers and who he was and what he meant to kids and to.
It's nostalgic, but also yearning for that sense again. So, something like an escape. Like, we don't have that in television anymore. There's not you can't just escape to Mr. Rogers anymore. So there's no channel out there that you can do that with.
So Tom Hanks won all of our hearts by running across America and telling everyone that when you step in shit, it happens. And then he was also Walt Disney and now Mr. Rogers. He's just becoming everyone's childhood heroes. That's
but he's the only actor that can do it, right? It works.
And I watched
he's got the mannerisms down.
I saw Saving Mr. Banks. I watched that. That was on Netflix, and I thought he was great in it as Walt Disney. I loved him as Walt Disney, and I see him here, and I felt like there was times when the camera is on him, but it's showing it through the studio camera filming him. It looks just like Mr. Rogers. Yes. From a distance, it looks up close. It's
really cool.
It's Tom Hanks. It's Tom Hanks.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
but I guess I'm telling you right now, you're gonna escape from that.
Yeah,
and I did. I mean, initially when I first saw it, I was like, oh, he's really, he's putting a good effort in. And then all of a sudden I'm like, man, he's got his fucking mouth mannerisms down from Mr. Rogers, like all the acting, the physical elements to it. I was like, damn.
Right.
Okay.
Suddenly, like the oodles of Academy Awards that he's been nominated for and the ones he's won.
Get ready for another nomination.
Yeah, I'm thinking that. So I'm interested in it. I don't know. Thanksgiving's like a nice time for like a family.
I think so.
Good feel schmaltz fest that this is going to be. I'm certainly interested in more so the journalist who's going to be like doing this story on him. It seems like it's going to span like over some time. Like there's going to be some relationship that's built between them. And I'm kind of curious to see his perspective of Mr. Rogers versus what that documentary and this movie is going to be portraying him as. I kind of want to see that facade crack a little bit in the movie. I hope they get into some of Mr. Rogers' life. And no, he did not fight in World War II. His arms are not covered in tattoos. And he did not, what is one of the stories that he cut a man's throat and saved Captain Kangaroo's life on D-Day or something. Like there's so many weird stories that none of those are true.
And this is directed by Marielle Heller, who actually did what I reviewed before on Jay's Indie Corner, The Diary of a Teenage Girl, which I really enjoyed and respected. And then also last year's Can You Ever Forgive Me? The Melissa McCarthy star. Yeah. And Richard E. Grant was also nominated for Academy Award for his role in that. And that was a very solid film as well, very under the radar. But
it wasn't under the radar. It was nominated. It wasn't under the radar.
Yeah, well, as far as box office and stuff like that and notoriety besides the award stuff, but it was in that world. Just saying. Don't test me, David. I know my shit.
I saw that movie. It was
but
boring.
Anyway, so I'm happy to see it. It looks like she's kind of got it down. She's nailed it, and that's all the trailers I got in my notes.
Yeah, I mean, there was the Watchmen trailer. Still not excited. I'm still not like excited for it, but I'm definitely going to check it out when it comes out.
Yeah.
Obviously, not Watchmen. It's not doing the comic book over again. It's a new story that takes place in that world. So they're not retreading old story ground. And also they're hoping that fans will forgive them for some of the stuff that maybe, that doesn't follow the story so closely because it's a different world. Also, there was The Boys, Jay, which didn't have a huge Comic-Con presence, but the trailer's been out for quite some time.
Well, they're unloading a lot of like small little TV spots and little featurettes and small little trailers and character trailers. So it looks interesting.
A little background on The Boys. I believe it's a Dynamite Studios comic, I want to say. I'm not 100% sure. I know it will
be playing through Amazon Prime.
Yes, it will be playing.
To let everybody know.
It's starring Carl Urban, Judge Dredd himself, Dr. Bones McCoy, and he
looks good in the role.
He does look good. So he's playing a guy who all of them, he gets together a task force of normal human beings who have all been in some way wronged by superheroes. And when I say wronged, I don't mean like, oh, you stopped me from robbing a bank, blah, 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 like stupid super villain stuff. The superheroes in their world are out of control. They're all basically allegories for members of the Justice League. But like one member was walking down the street, and you see this in the trailer with his girlfriend, and the speedster goes running right through her, liquefies her body, and he's like, I'm sorry, I wish I could stop, but I can't, and he darts off again. Like, so it's like what would happen if the Flash hit someone at a high speed. That's what would happen. So it's them as regular people deciding that they're going to take down the superheroes who are out of control. And the comic book was absolutely fantastic. The original foreword for the comic book was written by Simon Pegg, who was a big fan of it. Actually, one of the characters in the book, I think
Simon's in it,
was based on him. Like the look wise was actually based on Simon Pegg. And the show just looks like it's going to have brutal action. Absolutely, just lovely gore, just gore.
Yeah, I'm really gonna check this one out,
and it seems really funny.
It could be
but
right
also,
up my alley.
Really funny, but also dark.
Yes,
so
right up my alley.
I'm very intrigued to check it out to see how it stacks up to the comic book. Comic book's great, so definitely try to look up The Boys comic book. But I'm going to be checking it out on Amazon Prime. Lauren's really looking forward to it too. I showed her the trailer, and she's like, "This seems great."
Perks of being a Prime member.
That's right. And then I think that's really it. I mean, there was a few other like TV show trailers and stuff like that. Westworld
That
season
word
3.
trash. Well, Westworld season 3. Woo, baby. I don't
just-
even know where to start with that one because
You gotta go. I gotta go back and watch season 2 because I couldn't finish it because it was so fucking boring. Never has anything taken a sci-fi concept as interesting as Westworld and turned it into the most boring thing that I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, if you guys remember, I definitely had a very cold review for season 2 of Westworld, and I am blown away by what they're doing with season 3. It's super ambitious. It's completely different. It's going to be really interesting to try and follow, and it looks like the sci-fi elements are stuff that you've never seen before. Very exciting. Adding new characters. Aaron and Paul, my boy, your boy. I mean, it's going to be cool. It's going to be fun to watch.
Except my boy. I never met him in real life.
No,
I don't know the man.
No, he's your boy. Don't worry. But no, it looks.
You on a first name nickname basis with him too? Aaron Paul. Yo, Aaron Paul. You call him Aaron?
Yeah, he stays in my house when he's visiting Philly.
Yeah, I figured he never visits Philly. All right, so yeah, that's it. I mean, other than that stuff, there's a few other things at Comic-Con, but nothing that really tickles our interest too much. Or basically, we're just running out of time. There's other things I'd like to talk about, but we're running out of time, Jay, because we got to get into the big news that came out of Comic-Con. We know that Warner Brothers wasn't there. There was almost no DCEU presence whatsoever, with the exception of the release the Snyder Cut fans who were out in droves at San Diego Comic-Con.
Billboards posted and everything.
Dude, I think it might happen. I think there's going to be enough of a lull between what's coming out from DC versus like when the rest of their slate's going to get kicked off and going again, that they're going to be like, you know what?
At this point, I just don't care anymore.
Oh, I don't care. I'll watch it if it's free somewhere, but I'm not going to pay for it. And I'm not a big Snyder defender. I'm not a big Snyder hater either. Like I don't hate the movies that were made. I wasn't happy with them, and I understand that there's reasons for it.
I'm certainly not a defender. I'll say that. I'm not a hater.
They were out in droves.
Se.
And you know what?
Yeah.
If that's how you wanted to spend your time at Comic-Con, it's certainly better well spent doing that than standing in line to get into Hall H, because that's what Comic-Con is. I went once. There's a lot of standing in line. A lot of lines. I don't ever want to go back, honestly. Like, I had zero fun.
It's too many people for you.
Yeah, unless it's free. People don't bother me, but...
What about the Philly one?
No, Wizard World sucks anymore. I went a couple years in a row. Keystone Con is pretty cool though.
New York throws a big one, right?
They throw a huge one, and me and Lauren, the past 2 years, we got in line for tickets. Like, you have to actually get into an online queue for tickets. Sold out before we can get in. They sell out so quick. For the 3-day passes.
Hot damn.
Yeah, no. We could get like a single day pass, but Saturday's like, it's kind of a wash. There's too many people there. There's too much going on. Friday we work, so we can't get to. Sunday is kind of like a shit day where it's like everything's cleaning up. There's nothing really interesting going on, but it's good for vendors if you want to go buy some shit. So, but yeah, I'll get there again. Maybe we can get some press passes. Who knows?
Yeah, let's do it.
Maybe we have enough listeners. Probably not.
I might actually go.
All right, Jay. The big cheese, the big deal, the big thing that went on was that Marvel got up on stage and Feig or Feige or whatever the fuck you want to call him. He just like stepped
I like Feige.
Up. You like Feige? I like Feige. Feige got up there and he just like unzipped and unleashed like the Marvel anaconda of his cock.
Like,
and was just like, yeah,
plopped it
and
right
he's just
on the
like,
table.
we've been keeping our mouths shut, for everything that's coming after Spider-Man, but my anaconda don't want none unless it's got buns, hon. And he just like
he jizzed all over Phase 5.
Phase 5,
Yeah.
phase 4, and Phase 5. Yeah, absolutely. So let's get over and let's talk about all that. All right, Jay. Marvel, by far, had the biggest presence and the biggest news that came out of Comic-Con.
For sure.
A lot of stuff dropped. So obviously we know that the Black Widow film is coming. I'm just going to start running through these, honestly, because there's a lot to talk about in a short amount of time here.
Of course.
So Black Widow's coming out. We know that it's going to dig into her life pre-Shield, and they did some more casting announcements for it. We now know that David Harbour is playing a Russian agent, I believe. And we know that it's going to be the first Marvel movie to come out in the new phase. It's the one...
Oh, okay.
It's the one, like...
Well, I know they're filming it right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, this will be the next Marvel movie that we go see. Eternals is also right on the cusp of that same year, coming out in 2020. Eternals will be coming out. That has an absolutely huge cast. Like, the Eternals cast is absolutely massive.
Yeah, I mean, they hired Angelina Jolie, which is their big star. Richard Madden, we love him. He's another big star. And then there's a few other sprinkled in ones. I mean, it's going to be an interesting ensemble.
Yeah, you got Kamal,
but it's going to work.
You got Kamal Nanjiani as Kingo. You got Selma Hayek as
who's
Ajax.
been working out.
Yeah, I mean, I watched his Hot Ones, like the show with hot questions and even hotter wings.
Oh, I love that show.
Hot wings and even hotter questions.
Such a genius show.
It really is. It does way better than our show. I'm not a huge Eternals fan, so I don't know really what to make of this, what to get excited about with this. I mean, I know that it's a group of people that were created by Jack Kirby after he left for DC, then came back to Marvel and stuff like that.
I'm really I don't know why they're doing this one.
It's another cosmic tale. I think they really want to just get into the cosmic nature of everything.
Okay.
And it seems like it's going to be fun. I feel like we're going to get a lot of melodrama with characters, with actors like Richard Madden and then also Angelina Jolie. But I feel like we're also going to get a lot of comedy with Kamal Nanjiani.
Of course.
And so they're obviously Marvel formula still there. That's right. What they're doing with it. Now, one of the more interesting things to come out was that Shang-Chi. We knew that this was a movie that was announced a long time ago, almost a year ago, that they were going to be doing a Shang-Chi movie. But we learned something new about the Shang-Chi movie. Its title is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. So, what's the Ten Rings, Jay? Do you know what the Ten Rings is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? It's the Mandarin.
Ooh.
The Mandarin was supposedly the leader of the Ten Rings, and Iron Man met the Mandarin in Iron Man 3. Turned to be Trevor Slattery, who was an actor, and Aldrich Killian was actually the real Mandarin, or so they said. And what wound up happening was, Trevor Slattery goes off to jail, and we get that mini movie, All Hail the King, where Justin Hammer is in that one as well. Sam Rockwell reprises his role as Justin Hammer, and we find out that there is a real Ten Rings and that there is a real Mandarin, and he's unhappy with Trevor Slattery and his portrayal of him. So that's kind of like this Iron Man thing that's just been left out there with nothing tying us back to it. Everything went so much.
Well, here we go.
Everything went so much bigger after that. But now with Phase 4, we're kind of resetting. We're kind of coming back down. We're going to do more solo stories and stuff like that.
And it's smart. It's the way they should do it now, because the build up.
Well, I mean, other than
Ant-Man,
the first
three seasons,
other than Ant-Man,
phases.
If you think about it, after Civil War, there really wasn't with the advent of Civil War, there really wasn't any solo movies, right? Even Thor was teaming up with the Hulk and lots of others to take back Ragnarok. You had your Doctor Strange and stuff like that, but this is now, it seems like this phase is going to go more character focused before they start building it out again for another Avengers big level event.
Yeah, and you could see it in their logo banners, and it's all very character driven and interesting. And for me, though, I do have one question though.
Yeah, sure.
What if? What the hell is that?
I'm getting to that, Jay.
That is my big question mark.
I'll explain what if when we get to it. All right.
No pun intended.
So we know that Doctor Strange is getting a sequel, and the title of it is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So We know that Spider-Man Far From Home kind of like teased this idea of like the multiverse. And I won't spoil anything for that because that movie's still only about 3 weeks old. But one of the things they did announce in this was that along with Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange, he will be joined by Elizabeth Olsen's Wanda Maximoff. And it's something that I thought was going to be a big deal. I talked about it at the end of Endgame when I said, like, you know, it would be cool if Wanda Maximoff went off and kind of trained to become like a sorcerer with her powers being so closely tied to magic.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Marvel read my mind, and they're doing just that, it seems like. Also, the director, Scott Derrickson, has said he already knows what villain he wants. He wants to do Nightmare, so he wants Nightmare to be
right. So this is technically going to be their first attempt at a quote-unquote horror movie.
Right.
And I think it works.
I think it works. I think it's the right character for it.
It'll be cool.
Also, the other announcement was Thor: Love and Thunder, which we also heard in news stories that Taika Waititi has confirmed that Thor: Love and Thunder will take place before Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which will still have Thor in it and still may be called as Guardians of the Galaxy.
So he's going to be Fat Thor?
Who knows? But this Thor: Love and Thunder is the return of Natalie Portman's Jane Foster. And in this story, much like they did in the comics, Jane Foster is going to be imbued with the powers of Thor.
Yeah, getting jacked and getting fucking hammered out diesel.
And I'm hearing a lot of people complaining about this, not because there's going to be a female Thor. That happened in the comics 2 or 3 years ago. Wasn't a big deal then. People actually really enjoyed that character and enjoyed that storyline. What people were upset about is
she turned her nose up.
Is that it's Natalie Portman?
Exactly.
That's what people are upset about.
Exactly.
What I'm envisioning Thor: Love and Thunder is, and no one has said this, but it's also directed by Taika Waititi again. What I'm envisioning this as being is a romantic comedy where they are bickering, they dislike each other the whole time. It's like this very like back and forth, this very punchy, funny thing with both of them, and I think Natalie Portman can get behind that, like this kind of like rom-com role. And obviously, it would be Thor being upset with her for getting his powers is what I would suspect.
Exactly, and him not being or doing what he is meant to be doing, that kind of thing in his mind, right?
I think it sounds like a lot of fun. I
think it will.
The potential is there.
They just need to build on their chemistry more.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think with Taika Waititi behind the realm, it's going to work. He will make it work.
All right, one of the last movies to talk about on here before we start jumping into what they're going to be doing for the Disney Plus streaming service. Blade is coming back to the MCU.
Back.
And no, Wesley Snipes will not be back. I mean, why bring him back? He was only in 20% of Blade Trinity. He let his stunt double do most of his scenes in Blade Trinity.
And he's like 60.
So you can't have an ageless vampire be played by an old man like Wesley Snipes. So instead, they're getting the ever lovely Mahershala Ali to be Blade. It's great casting.
Great casting.
I just want to know if he's gonna have like the same Wesley Snipes like punchlines like in Blade 1.
Oh, he will. I guarantee you, it's gonna be very similar.
I love when he kills the one vampire and he goes like, "Some dumb motherfucker's always trying to ice skate uphill." Like he has these like punchlines that are fantastic. I hope they kind of keep like that stuff alive.
And kind of bizarre.
The only thing that like I worry about is, and I'm sure they're not announcing anything about this yet. Will Blade be rated R? And can you have a vampire story that isn't rated R? Like, how do you do this in a PG? No, granted,
it's called Twilight.
Right? Can you do it in a PG-13 way? Absolutely.
Yeah, but nobody wants Blade.
Does it
PG-13?
No pun intended. But does it file the teeth of it a little bit to make it PG-13? You got a sword wielding, half human, half vampire superhero with a sword and guns, and he's not going to get to use them in the same ways.
I'm calling it now. This is going to be rated R.
I doubt it. I'd be fantastic if it was, but I doubt it. I fucking doubt it.
I'm calling it.
I would like it to be. I would like the MCU to dip their toe.
I believe it's going to be a soft R.
A soft R?
But I think it's going to be R.
One motherfucker and...
Well...
brief nudity in that we see someone's butt.
No tits,
but a butt. A butt. Yeah. That's a soft R.
Side boob, maybe.
Yeah. but a little bit more blood than we're used to in an MCU film.
A little bit more blood, a little bit more violence, and
I don't think it's gonna happen.
A little bit more language. But honestly, it's. I think they're going to risk. I think they're going to roll the dice because I think they know there's going to be massive blowback if it's not rated R.
Right. I think it should be.
And that's why I think they're going to stick it out. They're going to attempt one.
Dip your toe in that water. You got that big anaconda. You got that big anaconda.
This is not a universe phases now. So this is like something they can play with.
Yeah.
They can risk it. They can roll the dice. They fucking made their money. They're good. They can do it.
So there are a lot of stuff going on over on the Disney streaming app that will be starting in November. Obviously we're getting the Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I think I'm more hyped on that than anything else.
So they did finally confirm that the Falcon and Winter Soldier series will take place after Endgame. So this is post Steve Rogers, post everything else, and that means that the Falcon is Cap. It's gonna. I envision it being about him discovering what it takes to be Captain America. But I also expect it to be more spy heavy, still a little bit more of like a spy thriller, more like the Ed Brubaker comics.
Yes, and also some funny little dry zingers. Maybe even a little play.
Can you move up your seat? No.
Right. Maybe a little play with Winter Soldier being like, I let you be Captain America.
Yeah,
I gave you the nod. Like, you can have it.
You only have that shield because I let you have
it.
Exactly. And then we also got confirmation that WandaVision is a show that's going to be coming. That is going to be the romance between Wanda Maximoff and the Vision, and it will reprise the roles of both Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany will be in that series.
I love them. I don't think it's going to do very well.
Yeah, I don't know what this series is going to be.
I love the actors. I like Elizabeth Olsen. I like Paul Bettany. But as far as them and their romance, I don't know if it's going to really fucking sell.
I'm not sure. It's another after Endgame series. But one of the things that they did let us know about it is it's going to feature Monica Rambeau, and you may not remember her, Jay, but she was in Captain Marvel. She was the little girl in Captain Marvel.
Ooh,
all grown up now,
right?
And with her own superhero side to her. So I'm kind of interested in seeing how they're going to be playing along with that too. Again, this is like another after Endgame one. So
why is there no Captain Marvel announcements?
I don't know. I wish I could tell you. Maybe that's more of like an end of Phase 4 thing. I don't think this is all they had in Phase 4 because there was 4 or 5 movies?
This is like 10.
No, these aren't movies. These are TV shows. That's
different. Okay. I'm sorry. You're right.
There's also the Loki
but
series.
Even still, that's like the next additional 2 years. So I guess Captain Marvel won't happen for another 3 or 4 years.
Right. So the Loki series, again, another post-Endgame one, and it's going to be exploring the adventures of Loki after he disappears using one of the the mind gem.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
So after he disappears in Endgame. So I'm very curious to see what they do with this. I like that they kept this character around. One of the big things that really got me excited, Jay, was that Hawkeye is getting his own TV series.
That's going to be very poignant.
I think so.
I really think that they have a shot at doing something very poignant. That's all I can say about it. And I'm excited to see what they do with it. Hopefully they do it right.
I think so.
And they don't fuck it up.
I think so. I think they're going to be taking a lot from the Hawkeye comic book that was written by, I believe it was Matt Fraction. Fantastic book. Now, Hawkeye was single in that, so I don't expect it to be exactly the same. However, he's going to, obviously Hawkeye in this universe has a family and stuff, but it is going to feature Kate Bishop, who is I don't even like to say the female version of Hawkeye. Jeremy Renner says it best. The best Hawkeye. Like the better version of Hawkeye is Kate Bishop. I loved her in Young Avengers. She was Hawkeye while Hawkeye was dead. Hawkeye comes back to life. He allows her to keep the mantle. And the Hawkeye comic is a lot of like this back, and there's no romance between Kate Bishop and him at all. It's not even mentor mentee. It's almost like he's the one with all the skill, and she has still skill to learn, but she has all the brains, and he's just kind of like a dumb jerk.
So it's like a sidekick thing.
Yeah, very much so. But I don't want to call her sidekick because just because she's not as skilled as him,
I'm not saying it's her. It could be him too, right? I mean, it doesn't matter. A sidekick's a sidekick.
And also will delve into elements.
It's a duo.
Apparently, the Hawkeye TV series will also delve into elements of Ronin as well. So, who he was in Endgame. This is another post-Endgame series as well. So, everything they're doing, they're just moving forward. I know there's a lot of rumors that things were going to be going back to the past. Other than Black Widow, everything is moving forward post-Endgame.
I think the most important thing they need to realize and accept is that they're not going to be making billion-dollar movies anymore. Maybe, but probably not.
I think they save the billion-dollar movies until the end of phases, and they try to recapture that lightning in a bottle and hope that they only miss slightly. Because I do expect that by the end of Phase 4 and beginning of Phase 5, superhero fatigue, these movies fatigue is going to start setting in. All right, Jay, the final things, the what if. It is going to be a series that explores the multiverse. It is going to be an animated series. It's going to be narrated by the Watcher, Uatu the Watcher. You saw them in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 when Stan Lee was talking to him. They do not interfere with earthly affairs. They just watch, and they watch great moments in history happen, usually revolving around the superheroes. What if is going to be, what if this event didn't happen and instead this happened? Or this didn't happen, so instead this happened.
So lots of creative liberties
absolutely
are going to happen.
Right. So it's
that might get annoying though.
It's an animated series. I love the What If comics that Marvel's done. Marvel's been doing these for years. They always, like, after a big event, a year or two later, they'll come out with a Marvel What If for it.
Okay.
What if this was different? What if that was different?
I got you.
It's interesting.
I think it works better in that format, though.
That's not going to be coming until summer of 2021, but it is in the MCU universe, per se. Like, at least the Watcher is part of the MCU universe.
And I'm sorry, is that a theatrical or is that
That's a TV
streaming?
It is an animated streaming series.
Okay.
So, and then finally, the big announcement, and what I'm just dying to know more, but they didn't give us a whole lot of information, is that Feige did let us know once and for all that the X-Men and the Fantastic Four will be joining the MCU in Phase 4.
Stop.
Yeah. I imagine it'll happen towards the end. They're not really sure where it's going to come in at, but it is going to happen. I'm sure there's a lot of development that has to go on with that before any hard announcements of where any of these movies would fit in, if they're going to get their own movies, whether they're going to fit them into other series. But Jay, you talked about Captain Marvel not having an announcement. Where's Black Panther 2? Not even announced here.
You know what I'm thinking? They hyped those movies up because it had to push the narrative forward and storyline forward for the Avengers, right? And the Endgame and all that
Here's what
stuff.
I think they're doing. This is what we got new that's coming. There's some new stuff. We're sprinkling in some old stuff.
That's a good point.
Stuff to get excited for.
That's a good point.
We're also continuing the story after Endgame. Those are guarantees. Like, we knew we were getting a Black Panther 2.
Right.
We knew we're getting a Captain Marvel 2.
I got you.
This is all the stuff that they've been reserved on, and they haven't said anything about, right? Thor Love and Thunder is a surprise to me. I had no clue that was a thing that was in development. I had no clue that there was going to be a Thor 4. I thought they were going to fit the character into Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's how Chris Hemsworth would continue. Chris Hemsworth said, fuck it, I'll sign any contract and I'll keep doing this for as long as I can. And they went, all right, we're going to hold you to that.
Yeah, because I think he
Can't do anything else.
Well, but he's also a good old boy.
Yeah.
He's just making a living, man. Living his life. YOLO. He's having a good time. Like, he's not in it for the artistic credibility.
But also think about it. If Marvel came out and they said, like, all right, Black Panther 2 is happening, the entire crowd of Hall H would just be a dull, like, murmur. And they would just go, yeah, we knew that. Like, those are all guaranteed things. We know those are everything they're talking about here.
Okay.
This is all somewhat new information for the most part. We knew we were going to get a Doctor Strange 2 eventually.
I just thought it was odd that they'd never mentioned anything about it.
They were mentioned in passing, but I think that's stuff that's going to be brought up more. They may also, I'm not 100% when D23 is, but that's Disney's big, like, fan service event and stuff.
That's a good point.
They could also be
They're probably going to do the 1-2 punch.
Exactly.
The one is this whole new fresh franchise stuff, and then the 2 is all the big announcements of the older fan favorite properties.
I'll be honest, when Endgame ended and after I got out of Spider-Man Far From Home, like I told Lauren, I was like, I'm okay if this like goes away. Like I'm okay if this is all done. Like if they never have another Marvel movie, I don't care.
Dude.
And then
who are you talking to?
And then all these announcements.
I'm good too. I don't need all this.
And then all these announcements, I was like, you know what? Yeah, some of the stuff I'm really excited for. You know, Falcon and Winter Soldier, I'm excited for. I'm excited for the Hawkeye series. But what the thing is, I'm more excited for these TV series than I am for the the actual theatrical stuff that they're announcing. Blade, that's cool, but I'm not like, oh my god, Blade. But that's cool. I'm glad you're doing it.
You're gonna have a good time with it. You'll watch it a couple times.
And that's that. I'm more curious about how X-Men and Fantastic Four are going to fit in, more so than I'm like excited for that stuff. You know, I'm more curious about how they're doing it. Thor: Love and Thunder, though, if they do the movie that I'm thinking of, that it's going to be in my head.
Yeah, I think that's the only way to do it.
It's going to be hilarious.
It's going to be so good.
It's going to be good.
And again, just super enjoyable. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Right.
I mean, Ragnarok was a shock.
I'll be honest. While I love the character of Black Widow, and I do like Scarlett Johansson in the role, I don't need that movie. I really don't. I want the movie where her and Hawkeye.
I think it's gonna flop hard.
I want that movie with her and Hawkeye running around together. He may show up in it, but he's not going to be a big role in it. I wanted her and Hawkeye in Budapest. You and I remember Budapest very differently. You know, like I want like that story.
I think they teased that Budapest is going to come up.
Oh, I'm sure it will. You can't leave that little line dangling from 2012 and not wrap it up in 2019 when it comes out, or 2020 when it comes out.
Damn.
But I'm just excited for what's been announced. But some of it I'm realizing I don't need, but I'm still willing to take the ride. They've got me excited for enough to keep me around.
We're excited, but we're not hyped.
I'm not
right.
hyped.
That's the best way to say, because I think I will get more excited when the time comes, right? Because it's just the evolution of time. Yeah, okay, it's gonna be 2, 4, 5 years from now that we're gonna be seeing some of these things. Yeah, by the time we get to it, we're probably gonna get really jazzed about it. But right now, it's like, oh, cool. All right, yeah, that could work. Hopefully, it works.
Endgame was a marathon, right? Like getting to Endgame was a marathon. It's like having sex 6 times in one night. You're not gonna want to do it the next night.
No, I would probably be good for a week.
I'm spent. I'm done. So it's good to have this break and to have stuff to like off in the horizon to get excited about, but it's not enough that I'm just like fucking amped. Maybe if I was in Hall H when all this stuff was getting announced, sweating it out with everyone else,
with all the sweaties,
with all the 6,000 people crammed into there and stuff like that. I'm excited, and I think that these announcements, they're all kind of like fresh ideas for the MCU in a way, you know. And I think that's a nice thing too, is that it doesn't seem like they're going back to a pool too much. Also, if they were just announcing Captain America 2 and Black Panther 2, that's it. We're just dipping back in that pool.
It's nice that there's no recycling,
right? Look at what else,
or not a heavy-handed recycling thing. You know,
it was a nice way to come out and say like, Endgame was not our big finale. We still got more for the neck, face, and chest. We got reserves. I got reserves. So that's going to do it for Super Movie Brothers tonight.
Thanks again, everybody.
I want to thank all you guys for listening. If you're enjoying the show, please go over to iTunes, leave us a 5-star review.
Do it.
That's the only way the show can grow. It's the only way that can help us grow. Also, we are part of a Podfix network. Please go over to podfixnetwork.com. Check out all the great shows that are part of the Podfix network. And you can also check out our movie cocktail recipes there. Go to the top menu, hit the drop down, and check out the movie cocktail tab over there. Our Shower Park music was brought to you by Thomas Iannucci, the artist formerly known as The Italian. And you can check him out on Spotify.
You can reach Super Movie Brother Jay on Facebook or on Instagram as Super Movie Bros Beer, and I'll be posting up random beer reviews, and of course I'll be just throwing up a couple photos of our new episodes being dropped weekly as well.
And you can reach out to me on Twitter at SuperMoviePod. Also, I've had some requests for what our email is. I used to drop what our email was at the end of every episode, but no one ever emailed us, so I stopped doing it. But just for those of you who would like to send in any suggestions, any questions, you can reach me at supermoviebrospodcast@gmail.com. And of course, we do have some additional content for everybody over on the Patreon. So for just $1, you can get all that additional content. The Patreon is patreon.com/supermoviebrospodcast. So I want to thank all of you guys for listening. Have a great night and cheers.
Cheers.